Hey guys, it's me, Ethan, again, and I just want to let you guys know Happy New Year. And to start off this new year right, we're talking about one of my favorite composers ever, Johann Sebastian Bach. Johann Sebastian Bach was born on March 21st, 1685, in Eisenach, Germany, and he was baptized in the Catholic faith on March 23rd of 1685, which the Catholic Church still does this now. They baptize babies, even though I'm a Baptist and I don't really agree with that. But that's besides the point. His father, Mr. Bach, was a music director in the church, and he was also a professional trumpeter. And his mother was a singer, so he was born in a very musical family. However, when he was 10, both of his parents died. His mother allegedly died of being exposed to raw sewage, which was very common back then, and his father likely died of heartbreak from losing his wife. So, when he was 10, he went to go live with his big brother. And his brother was an organist, and he taught little Bach how to play organ. However, when Bach was 15, Bach's older brother started having a lot of kids with his wife, so he kind of asked 15-year-old Bach, Johann Sebastian, to leave. So at age 15, he went to go live with his uncle in Lüneburg, Germany. While there, he got his first job in the church choir, and he also went to Catholic school there. And his uncle gave him professional lessons in organ because his uncle was a professional organist. And his uncle really taught him what it means to be a church musician. And it was at that Catholic school where he learned music theory and different elements of music making. And fun fact, at age 16, he went to the same school that Martin Luther went to, the founder of the Lutheran faith. And it's worth mentioning that Bach was a very religious Lutheran man. His whole family was. And when Bach was 18, he moved to Arnstadt to get his first job by himself in a church. And it was in 1704 that he started writing music. And then he would write a lot of preludes for the church, which a prelude for a church basically means when the people are coming in for the service and they're sitting down, that's the music you hear while people are coming in for the service in church. That's basically what a prelude is. I've played in a couple of them. And it's worth mentioning now about Bach's style. You see, Bach had a bit of a counterpoint style, and what counterpoint basically is basically when like two or more melodic lines are going off at the same time. So it's kind of like there's this one main melody and there's a counter melody. You'll hear that when you listen to his music. And speaking of which, we will listen to some of his music now. This is Bach's Prelude in C major. We're going to listen to this real quick. Whew, that was hard to turn off. But yeah, that is just one of the many, many preludes that Bach wrote in his lifetime. And that's a good example of a prelude by Bach. Yeah, that was Bach's Prelude in C major. When Bach was in his early 20s, he wasn't a very good employee. In fact, one time at age 20, he went to go see an organ concert over 400 kilometers away, which is about 250 miles to my American friends. And he walked 250 miles just to see an organ concert. And yeah, he left while he was supposed to be working at the church. And yeah, the church did not appreciate that. But they appreciated him after he died because they did name a church after him. And they also built a nice statue of young Bach after he died in that town that he used to work in. You see, it's a statue of young Bach playing the organ, but like his feet are extended like all the way out, like he's playing the pedals. And it's also worth mentioning that Bach was not a patient man. In fact, one time while he was practicing a church concert, he got in a fight with a bassoonist because he thought he was completely incompetent. In fact, he often had fist fights with other church musicians. And it was around that time, at age 22, that they kind of asked him to leave because he just had a short temper and he was also not a very good employee then. But he did get another job at a Gothic Lutheran church in Mulhausen, Germany. And it was at that church he premiered BWV4, which is basically kind of like it's basically like religious music he wrote. That's basically what it is. And we will listen to BW4 right now. This is a religious piece he wrote for the church. Okay. Yeah, that was his BW4 for short. And no, that's not the real name for it. The real name is Christ lag in todos banden, but everybody calls it just BWV4. And in October of 1707, he got married to his second cousin, Maria Barbara Bach. Even though they were cousins, Maria and Bach were pretty happy. And they went on to have 6 kids together. And in 1709, he got a big job offer by the Duke of Weimar. And he took it, and he held that job for 9 years. And it was in Weimar that he wrote a very famous piece that we hear all the time around Halloween called Toccata and Fugue in D minor. However, there's been a lot of debate on whether or not Bach actually wrote this, but I think he did. Yeah, that was some of Toccata and Fugue in D minor. And he premiered that while working in the Church of St. Peter and St. Paul. And at age 32, Bach was offered another job by Prince Leopold. However, when Bach tried to leave, the Duke imprisoned him because the Duke of Weimar did not want Bach to leave. He was that good. He was that goated of a musician that he refused to let him leave. So he kept him in prison for a month in the Bastille of Weimar. But I would like to think after a month, Duke just came to his senses and said, hey, that was really immature what I did. Which is why I'm going to let you go, Bach. If you really want to leave, I sure hate to see you go, Bach, but if the job with Prince Leopold doesn't work out, you're always welcome to come back here. That's what I would like to think happened, because Duke Weimar, he sure hated to see Bach go. But eventually, Bach did get to go to work for Prince Leopold. And Prince Leopold was actually Bach's favorite boss. He even named one of his kids after him. And he made Prince Leopold the godfather to all his kids. And it was while working under Prince Leopold that he wrote some secular music like the Coffee Cantata and the Brandenburg Concertos. Wrote both those for Leopold, but because I'm a little bit worried about this episode going over a little bit too long, I might not play those for you because, well, they're both very good, but, well, you know what? Maybe I should play it for you. Why not? I'll play you some of his secular music for you. Why not? Yeah, let's look it up right here. No, not that one. No. We just listened to that one. Brandenburg Concertos, number 3. This is Bach's Brandenburg Concerto No. 3, and he wrote this for Prince Leopold. All right, and that was Brandenburg Concerto, which I guarantee that some of you have heard that song somewhere. I had, and also, I actually got to see that one performed live. So yeah, go me. This right here is some of Coffee Cantata sung by Sumi Jo. So this is Coffee Cantata by Bach, sung by a lady named Sumi Jo. Hold on. There we go. There. Hold on. Yep, that was some of the Coffee Cantata by Bach, which, yeah, that lady really likes coffee. Yep, and that was, I just played for you the Brandenburg Concertos and some of the Coffee Cantata. However, tragedy struck Bach in 1720 when Bach went on a business trip with Leopold, and when he came back, he found out that his wife Maria died. And he mourned her for a little while, But in September of 1721, he married his second wife, a singer named Anna. And it was with her that he wrote a book called The Well-Tempered Clavier. And even more bad news for Bach happened when Prince Leopold got married, and his wife just did not like Bach for whatever reason, and she essentially asked Bach to go away. So afterwards, he and his family moved to Leipzig in Germany, and he stayed there until he died. And that's one of the reasons why Bach wasn't famous until after he died, because he stayed in Germany. He never left Germany. But at his new church, he decided to write a new religious piece for every single occasion that there was. And I mean every occasion there was. He wrote pieces for every new Sunday. He wrote pieces for Christmas. He wrote for Easter. He wrote for Lent. Every occasion at the church there was, he wrote for it. He also did birthday parties, weddings, and funerals. And he personally trained every single musician in that church. And he was, by all accounts, a good teacher. All right, but let's get to more of his religious music he wrote for every single occasion. This is Bach's Christmas Oratorio. Hold on. All right, there we go. Yep, that was Bach's Christmas Oratorio. And this is another religious song that Bach wrote. It's called Jesus, Joy of Man's Desiring. And this is a piece he wrote for the church because he was so religious. Yep, that was Jesus, Joy of Man's Desiring by Bach. And up next, we're not going to listen to the whole thing because I don't have that kind of time, but this is St. Matthew's Passion by Bach, another very religious piece that he wrote, and I'll play it back for you. Here we go. No, hold on. No. Yeah, that was just a tiny little piece of St. Matthew's Passion by Bach. Very beautiful piece. But what I'm about to play next is his most beautiful piece. It's called Air on the G string by Bach. Oh, that is a beautiful piece. You young people might know that piece from the film Seven with Brad Pitt and Morgan Freeman. Great movie. And now, before I get on to this, I have to mention that two of his sons that he had with Anna became famous composers. In fact, J.C. Bach actually moved to London and made a lot of music in England. But Bach still stayed in Germany. But I'm going to play Air for you by Bach, which I think is probably his most beautiful piece. It's beautiful. I am so proud I got to see this piece performed live. Yeah, that was some of Air by Bach. And Bach, he was a big workaholic. Even when he started going blind in his 50s, he refused to stop working. Even though he got cataracts over his eyes and went completely blind. But he still had his work dictated, not read. And he still worked all the way up until he died in 1750 of a stroke. Probably from all the stress from working. But Bach, you made some of the most beautiful music of all time. And I believe that when you walked up to the stairway to heaven, into the pearly gates, Jesus welcomed you with arms open wide. And the last piece I want to play for you guys is Bach Cello Suite number 1, I think. No. Bach Cello Suite number 1 in G major. And you young people might know this piece from that piece from Until Dawn that one of the characters, Sam, was listening to in the bathtub in the video game Until Dawn, which Until Dawn, great game. Please check it out. But don't go in there expecting Call of Duty. Although, interestingly enough, Bach's Cello Suite was removed from the remake, so check out the original one, okay? If you want to see the Bach cello scene, check out the original one. And it's the part where Sam's in the bathtub, okay? So check it out. But without further ado, I'm just going to play Bach Cello Suite Number 1 for you. All right, and that'll close us out for today. Thank you for listening.